The term underground MC. So recently, Talib Kweli was in an interview with Respect magazine, and he made an interesting point on the definition of how underground MC has changed. It says people often confuse what they mean or refer to as underground. Was DMX underground? How about Red and Meth when they were going platinum? Is it a sound, a feeling? Is it about record sales? An artist can be many things, whatever he chooses to be. So Cube can be a capitalist and make Coors commercials. He can be a filmmaker and make family fare, or he can be an underground gangster rapper selling music independently all at once.
The term underground has been replaced with independent. Initially, underground was the rapper that played outside of the system. And now, I think as the system kind of crumbles, you've got more underground than you have above ground.
And there's nothing wrong with being independent either. It just shows that you have a core belief system in your craft and your brand that you're not willing to break at any point, no matter how many amount of dollars are thrown at you or what brand wants to promote you.
Underground used to be just a sound. That's all they defined it as. But now that everybody's adapting every single sound out there, like, now it really doesn't even matter. What do you call Immortal technique? Immortal technique tours the world legitimately, constantly.
And mainstream artists tour the world.
Yeah, he's like he's in the same venues, he's getting the exact same respect. Like, whether you've heard about him or not is almost irrelevant at this point. That would be like the last bastion of underground as far as I'm concerned. Like, are they known by the majority? If not, then maybe you could consider them underground, but what does that even really mean? Just because you haven't caught on to them yet doesn't make them any less legitimate or successful as an artist. People forget Rock Nation is an indie. It's a completely different situation. The business model is totally different. They're an indie. Jim Jones has been on Koch almost like from the beginning and doing his thing.
Any rapper making any considerable money is an independent rapper, but it's still the independent spirit. I mean, Tech Nine makes more money than most rappers, and he's fully independent. Tours consistently, makes like multi-million-dollar salaries a year.
Owns his own warehouse out in his city.
Distributes merch, ridiculous. More known than a lot of rappers as well. Like, his shows, ridiculous.
Sell out.
Constantly sold out. And he's as underground as it gets. He did Wake Up Show with Sway and Tech Freestyle. Anything that made you an underground rapper when underground rap was actually more clearly defined,
he's done.
Tech Nine did. Not signed to a major, courted by majors, chased after constantly because of his independent hustle, grind, whatever the fuck. He's as independent as any independent artist will ever be. Signs artists, makes artists rich, is wealthy himself, collaborates, has so much respect, like Wayne, and like people clamoring to get on his project. For someone who like it has really never been to the Grammy, never been to the VMAs, hasn't been on MTV save for the video that he had on Sway and Tech's compilation when MTV was first really trying to fuck with rap programming. He's not touched an MTV stage. He hasn't touched a Fuse stage. If that's not a major move, then what is?
He just signed J-Rock. J-Rock got off of Warner and went on Strange Music.
Had him on the tour recording literally once the ink dried on his contract. If that's not a major move, then what is?
The idea of what a major move is so different now because we have the tools and technology to do it ourselves, but then also somehow the majors have lost the ability to sustain the machine to actually do it for you.
The majors don't want to see you succeed the way you want to see you succeed. Plain and simple.
They're still the gatekeepers in a lot of different senses, but the fact is, like you said, now the playing field is a lot more even. All these things are available to anybody, and people don't just... Remember how I said earlier, people fuck with the winners? In the very beginning, the labels were the only winners. They had the market corner, they had the monopoly. Now that their bottom line is dropping, those same assets that the labels could call on non-stop consistently are now spreading out, looking for other ways to make money. A dude like Tech Nine comes along who's not signed to anything major but has pockets deeper than anybody else you can fuck with, says, hey, label's not paying you to be a publicist? Come be a publicist over here. Oh, word, you work radio? Why don't you come over here and fuck with me?
And he's underground.
Only thing that's above ground are his mansions and his fucking cars.
And his pool.
And his factory.
And his bank account.
Tour consistently, put out music consistently have money. And more than anything, if we're like talking about what the very base of wealth or riches is, making the music you want to make, artistic freedom, but to consistently have your life taken care of, fully maintained. so that you don't have to get on a stage.
That's the American dream as well, but a lot of these artists that are coming up now, and this is no disrespect to the artists that want deals, but they just see the radio play, the magazine covers, the tours, the Grammy shows, the MTV show, like they see that. And they look at these labels as liaisons that can get them to that point. They don't feel like an independent artist can do that. But I mean, people are showing that independent artists can do that. And so I think a lot of artists are kind of blinded by the fact that your independent hustle can actually get you to that point, but it may take a little longer.
Your fans' standards are the only ones you have to worry about. You really don't have to measure up to anything outside of your core. Like if Talib Kweli drops an album that maybe mainstream doesn't fuck with,
he knows that his core demographic
is gonna love him for it. Yeah, if they love him for it, that's it.
He puts out the album he wants to put out, so he doesn't Lupe Fiasco himself and go back and forth with the label for 2.5 years trying to put out a record.
He said in the interview that the Gutter Rainbows got, and that was an independent release, got more attention than his comeback album with High Tech. And that was a major release.
Because that's the music you get to make for yourself. You don't have to answer to 50, 11 people.
You know how horrible as an artist it must feel to like put all your heart into a certain record and for the label to be like, nope, we don't think this is the look.
I mean, a message to all the independent artists or underground artists, whatever you call it. The risk is greater, but the reward is even greater.